Hey loves, Ocean here, they them. Today I thought we would try something a little different. We are here in Liberation Community Forge. This is a little place that I put together as a blacksmith shop, hopefully for people who are queer or trans or otherwise in liberation movements. Just as a place for people to remember the joy in the world when everything else is pretty terrible. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and then the George Floyd uprisings happened, and this place eventually just became kind of abandoned. I'm hoping to be back here today, fire up the forge again up here. And the reason that we're out here is because we are going to try to forge some hardware for the Caravelle skiff that I'm building by Chase Smallcraft. I've never done this before, never forged any marine hardware, but I'm going to come up with a plan. I'll bring you along as I think through what I'm trying to do. And hopefully we'll all learn something while we're here. So what I've got right here is some 01 tool steel. I've never forged this before. It is probably going to be a little bit harder to forge than the stuff that I'm used to. It is also pretty thick at 1 inch round bar. I'm hoping to forge a punch, kind of like this one. This one is made out of 1035 if I'm not mistaken, and you probably can't see it, but it bends really easily when I'm punching stuff. And because we're going to be working with stainless, which is harder than mild steel, I do want to make a tool that is going to withstand the impacts that I'm going to be putting on it. So hopefully we're going to forge that out of this piece of material. And the other thing that I've got here today is 304 stainless. It was quite an odyssey to finally be able to find some of this out there. Ended up paying 40 odd bucks for this. It's about 3 feet of 5/8, which is, I think, pretty perfect for what we're trying to do. It's a small skiff. We don't need like gigantic hardware, so I'm hoping to be able to get all that I need out of this. So I think I'm going to get started. First of all, I'm going to start the fire, and then as the fire gets going slowly, I am going to bring you along in trying to figure out my plans for making a deadeye or a fairlead. I've seen them called both names. There we are. So come along and join me. First thing I have to do is clean out the fire from last time. As you forge using coal, even relatively pure forms of coal, some clinker is going to get built up in the bottom. So what we need to do is break it up a little bit and then pry it out. Because that is just going to take up space in your fire. And it's just going to take up space in your fire and make it harder for the fire to stay lit. It's going to add a lot of impurities to what's burning, and you don't want any of that. So you can see all of this stuff that I'm taking out is really different from the coal that I'm using. You can see by the just very, very raw look of that compared to this. So I'm going to take out most of what I see. I can never take out everything, but sometimes enough is enough. Alright, so you can see I've made like a nice hole out here. And I've still got some... First I'm going to try see if the... Yeah. So that still works, which is wonderful. And now, I'm going to grab a bunch of wood, and I'm going to try to make a slight pyramid here. This is going to be the start for the fire. My coal, if I'm not mistaken, I've forgotten because I haven't used it or talked about it for so long. I think it's anthracite, which is a little harder to light and keep lit. So I have plenty of wood here to get a nice fire going, and then I will add some bituminous coal, which lights much easier. So let me go grab some of that just so I have it here. Oh, everything is heavy in the blacksmith shop. Ugh. Alright. As that helps me light the wood. So at this point the fire seems to be largely self-sustaining. I'm going to poke it a little bit, try to compact it slightly. But that's looking pretty great. So now I'm going to add some of this bituminous coal, which lights relatively easily. It also smokes a lot, which is why I don't use it, except for lighting the fire. I'll add some bits here and there, just to get it going. And I guess at this point it's really hard for you to see what's happening, huh? Oh well. One day I'll figure out how to use the camera. And now I'm slowly going to pull in some of this older coal that's already been in the fire and it's already been warm. You can see how well this chimney is drafting, right? That's one of the really good things about this build. Somehow it just pulls this in really, really well. Very little smoke stays inside the forge. And I'm going to add some of this new anthracite coal just for it to start warming up as well. Next thing I need to do is to prepare some wood for next time. But as you can see, if you put this wood in the edge of the anvil, it breaks really easily. Yeah, so what we are going to try to do now is make a little storyboard of how things are going to work out. So my original bar for this fairlead is going to be 5/8 square. So it's just going to look like one of these, right? Where this right here is going to be, ooh, let me try to draw it on your side. 5/8 square. So what I'm hoping to do is get a length, not very long, we'll have to figure out exactly how much, and then I will try to upset it. So that means that I'm going to try to forge it so that it gets a little thicker in the center, like so. So there's enough space here for the hole to go into. And then I'm going to try to forge out the places where I'm going to bolt things through. So I'm able to put it on the side of the anvil and smack it so that it essentially becomes something that kind of looks a little bit like this. Once it looks like this with a little extra material here from the upsetting in this stage, I'm hoping to forge this out until it's nice and pretty and then punch a hole right here where the lines are going to be able to go through. So as you see, there's not a ton of steps here. The main difficulty, I think, is going to be in forging out 5/8 of thick, heavy, strong 304 stainless steel when I haven't done that for a few months. So it'll be a party, and we'll figure it out together.
is how much material we lost from that piece. If we had drilled, we would have lost 3-4 times that.
It's good to take these off. It's good to no longer have sound. It always takes me a little while to come down from more physical activities like this. Alright, so I'm going to double check that this is cool because you really don't want to get... You really don't want to get burnt. You come out now? Ooh, maybe not because I... Uh-oh, we might be in trouble now. We might. I think it's... Yeah, there it is. Okay. So, a few thoughts. It worked out okay. I don't know how well you can see that, but here's my analysis of it. Haven't forged for a while. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert because I'm not. But we made the hole. Ooh, the hammer's hot. Let me put that over here. Not enough material on the top here, just a little bit. So as long as this fairlead or deadeye isn't supposed to be putting tension in this direction here, it should be okay. I really didn't have enough control at this point because I haven't done this for a while to make something really pretty. But these are all things that like a minute or 3 at the grinder will fix pretty readily. But basically, we started out with this much original material. That's got to be like $1 or $2 worth of metal. Maybe not even that. This is what, 1.5 inches? Costs about $16 an inch or 18. Yeah, so about like $2 for this, plus like $1 or so for an hour at the forge, something like that. So for like $3 you can sort of make one of these. I didn't notice it being a lot harder to forge than mild steel, but again, haven't forged in months, so it might just be my mind playing tricks on me. One thing that I did notice is that it was pretty hard to hold on to this piece. It's really tiny, there's not a lot of purchase here. You probably saw me switching tongs a lot. I have only 3 sets of tongs. I often have to adapt them to the work that I'm doing. I really should make more. Haven't gotten around to it. But with what I had to constantly change to try to find the best way to hold the piece for the work that I was doing. That's pretty much on par for blacksmithing, that's pretty normal. But with a piece this small, again, it was a little hard to hold on to so I could forge. You probably saw me struggling a little bit when I was trying to set this down and put a corner here. Definitely burnt the piece here as well. I was trying to heat up the center that has more mass and so it takes longer to heat up. And this was inadvertently a little bit further into the fire. Maybe that's enough for now. So what I think I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to take this over to the bench vise or the leg vise, and I'm going to do some grinding on it. I'm probably going to use the angle grinder for the outsides, and I might have to switch to small files for the inside because we want this to not have very sharp corners, right? It's a deadeye, it's not supposed to put wear on ropes. So yeah, I'm going to go do that now, and bear with me in these sweaty, sweaty times. Let's enjoy this. Alright, so that might be pretty hot, so I'm going to grab one of my sets of tongs here and use that to nope. It's already looking a lot better. See? So you saw me work a couple of spots, particularly here and here, a little harder. Ooh, look at that, my sweat. That's how you can tell it's hot. So you sweat on it and it just immediately comes out. Anyway, you saw me work a little bit harder here and then here. That's because I had some pockets from forging. Just a little bit of gross stuff that got embedded there. And then I sort of worked the whole surface, and that's similar to fairing when you're building a boat. I was fairing the surface so there aren't any like obvious dips or anything. Okay, I am going to mark out where I want little bolster things. Centered. Alright. I'm gonna sit down because I am tired. Whoa. So, this is a couple of hours worth of work. About an hour at the forge, and then maybe an hour, maybe less, at the grinder. I haven't worked on the insides yet. I don't have the files for that or the sandpaper. But yeah, there's not really any sharp corners. There's like a nice spacing right there. This is steel, so it's pretty strong compared to a lot of other materials. It's made out of stainless. If I am careful to both put it through some nitric acid solution and then just like make sure that I keep on top of it, even if it rusts a little bit, it will never be a structural issue. So all in all, like, I'm really happy with this. It only has a 1/4 inch holes. I don't know what's used and often, most often used in boats, so I'd love some information about that, but honestly, like, this is a piece of hardware for a small boat that doesn't need, like, a ton of tension. Like, obviously this isn't going to work on something huge, but I don't know. I'm happy with the results. Especially given that it has been my first time at the forge after, gosh, maybe 6 months, maybe up to a year at this point. Yeah, and I messed up and I tried to correct it, and that's how most things in life go, so I don't want folks to think that like everything always goes well at the first time because you have some experience. Like everybody struggles and then you make do with what you have. In this case, we salvaged it. It works really nice. Yeah, I will also add that we did try to make a punch out of the O1 steel. That was a complete failure. It broke. I think I will need to read up just a little bit more on how to forge O1 steel. I feel comfortable having failed at that. I will do better next time. I definitely burnt the tip a little bit more because what happens with metal is that parts that have less volume, like this area right here that I'm showing you, will heat up a lot faster than areas that have more metal volume. There's just more thermal mass there in the thicker areas. And so as soon as you get a taper into something relatively small and you put that in the fire next to something that's an inch wide, you need to be very careful with how you bring that metal up to temperature, otherwise it's just going to burn. So that's, I think, what happened to me, or maybe I worked it cold, or maybe both. Either way, it was definitely a little hopeful of me to try to forge inch round bar of tool steel after not having forged for a really long time. It was very clear that my attention wasn't all there and that my control and just skill wasn't all there. And that feels okay still. I tried, and next time I will do better, and I have learned from the experience. So yeah, I would call this a success, and I think it's a success with a lot of space for improvement, which is always wonderful because you always want to keep it getting better. And I can't stop playing with this because it just looks nice and it feels nice, like there's a heft to this, as there often is when you do blacksmithing stuff. So yeah, I'll put this up as an episode, and if I decide to do something else, I'm hoping to do some cleats as well. Still not entirely sure how to do that. They're probably going to be, imagine this, but full here, and this would be the cleat arms, and then you might have like 2 holes all the way through to screw into whatever's on the bottom. So that's what I'm thinking. So not very different from this construction, minus the hole here. If you're interested in that, please let me know. I love sharing this stuff. I hope this was useful for folks. I hope it was something that you might consider doing in the future. Yeah, this ended up costing maybe $3–4 to make, and I got to make it myself, and I'm going to get to look at the boat and be like, hey, that piece over there that's working and doing its job, that was also me. And that feels really nice, that sense of self-sufficiency and of bringing your whole self into something that you do. It's cool. Alright, see you next time.